Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Seeking the Stoke. I think that's what I'm officially going to call the vlog, and any episode that isn't me working on my car. For those of you that are unaware of what Seeking the Stoke is, mainly it's a movement, a thought process, a love for something that you enjoy. I don't care if it's rock climbing, underwater basket weaving, working on your car, off-roading, etc. Everyone has a stoke, and I encourage you to do it and share it with me on Instagram or any other social media platform that you use. Just hashtag Seeking the Stoke and do me a favor and DM it to me if it's on Instagram. Use it on your YouTube videos, etc. Today, I am going to be showing you guys my toolbox. You may have seen a red snap-on box in the background. That is mine. I'm very happy with it. I'm very proud of it. You can do a lot of the stuff that I do with simple hand tools. It's just a matter of how much time you set aside and how much patience you have. I have very little patience. You might see a few things in here and go, wow, that's completely unnecessary. And I would agree with you. There are a lot of things in here that maybe your average hobbyist mechanic shouldn't have, or probably is overkill. I agree with you 100%, but I've done a good job of what I feel like accumulating necessary tools to get jobs done for an array of vehicles. I mainly work on Japanese imports, mainly because I have a Toyota and two Hondas, as well as my parents having a Honda CR-V as well. They mainly use metric. That being the case, let's go ahead and get started with what I have in my box. I believe every hobbyist mechanic should have these. If you work at home and you're constantly on your knees on the floor, these are knee pads. This is a Harbor Freight one I think I got for about $4, $5. It's cool. It's really thick, dense foam. It gets the job done. If you want to save your knees, I got this one on Amazon. It's called a ProFlex kneeling pad. It's still in the plastic, mainly because I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible for a while, at least until the plastic completely wears itself. But plastic is no hindrance to how well this works. It is awesome. It's really long. I'd say that's at least 2.5 feet long by 14 to 16 inches wide. This is very soft foam and it works really well, so I love this a lot. Get yourself one of these if you work on your car. Save yourself the hassle. Next, we're going to move into the top of my snap-on box. We open up the hutch here. We have two magnetic trays. These are super useful. I usually leave this one with just a bunch of crap on it from things that I have extra. I'll have to eventually come in here and clean this up, but I keep a knife on here because you're always cutting stuff and having to grab things. So this is super useful. I keep my little Smith & Wesson knife right here to open boxes and packages and stuff that come in. Little 1/4-inch ratchet swivel head that works beautifully. And then my other tray for when I'm working on the car. I take this over the car with me, so that's super useful. Thanks to my cousin Joaquin for this sticker here, if you can read that. Next, what we have here on the side is a magnetic tray. This pops right off, pops right back on. There's some thick magnets on the back. Currently, I have my toolbox at my parents' house because I am moving to Wisconsin for the summer. Will not be taking this with me, and I need a safe place to store it. Okay, so we'll start off here on the far left side of the toolbox. We have our ABN tall and short 1/2-inch impact sockets and one gray pneumatic 32 millimeter. I actually bought this separate because I needed it for something else. Ended up not ever actually using it until about a week or two ago when I had to do the SPC upper control arms on my 4Runner. So sometimes when you buy a tool and you don't actually use it off the back, you'd be surprised how nifty it could be in the future. One issue I did have with this, the inner diameter of this is supposed to be a 1/2 inch, and the other day when I went to use it, it actually did not want to slide onto my torque wrench. So what I did was I took a file and I just went in and I just started like going at each side a little bit, and it opened up enough that I don't have any issue sliding it on any of my ratchets or anything like that anymore. So that was a small problem I had, but other than that, I've got some other gray pneumatic stuff I'll show you, and all that stuff fits just fine. With my ABN kit, which came in a blow molded box from Amazon for about $100, also came these extensions. This is a 15-inch extension that came in the kit, as well as a 10-inch, a 5-inch, and a 3-inch. Can never keep enough batteries charged, as well as a dual charger. This is from Amazon, and this will charge AAA batteries here, and then AA batteries will go the same direction, but they come down to the bottom here. I have about 3 sets of AAA. Reason being is that I have this black diamond headlamp. This is super useful. and takes AAAs, so it takes 4 AAAs, which works out for me. So I bought 3 sets because sometimes I'll be working all day on the car, a set will die. I love this black diamond headlamp. This thing is awesome. Back here, when I plug my electronics in, I have a wire that goes to the backside over here, and I plug in all my USBs right in there so I can have multiple things charging at once. Oh, one of my favorite tools in my entire box. It seems unassuming, but this little magnet right here, this is only maybe 14, 16 inches. This is awesome. This is probably the best magnet I've ever used. I have a larger one back here you can kind of see, and I've used it before, maybe once or twice, but overall for Civics and for my 4Runner, it's kind of overkill. It's too big to really use. We'll finish up here on the far left side. This is my Tecton 12-inch pry bar. The metal on this is pretty good. I haven't had any issues. I don't daily use these. I've heard that Matco and Snap-on make a better pry bar, but again, I've had no issues with mine, so I'm quite happy with them. And they do, every single one of these comes with a metal cap on the end, so you can bang away at that as needed. These were more than worth their weight in what I paid. They were only maybe $60 for the set. Here's my 3-foot. So these are 3/8 shorts with a 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter. All this stuff is GP, Gray Pneumatic. If you're unfamiliar with them, they make some really, really good impact stuff. My cousin actually told me to grab this stuff because I wasn't looking to spend $200-300 on a set. He said that he did his research and he thinks that they're actually made in the same factory as Snap-on. I can't confirm, but I absolutely love these. It goes up to 19 mil on both. I can't remember if this came with the set or not. I highly doubt it. I think I bought this separately. This is a Gray Pneumatic swivel head, and this thing has seen hell and back. It's still trucking. Again, I'm not a daily mechanic, but I have put this thing through the ringer with my impact wrench and it works. That then takes us to here. These are gear wrench. They are good for what they are. The one small issue that I've recognized with these, and I love gear wrench products for what they provide to entry-level people like myself. These, though, they have an issue. If you look at the inside, it's kind of hard to probably tell on this one, but there's no hole through the bottom. And the problem with that is, unlike a standard socket where your back end is open, there's a little bit more room for it to go back into the hole inside there. So surprisingly, I've not used this kit as much as I thought I was going to. Then we move on to a Duralast Allen head socket set. These are my 1/4 inch gear wrench sockets for my little 1/4 inch ratchets, which I'll show you later. They were well priced. I can't remember the actual price I paid for these. I think it was maybe 25 or 30 bucks. Also, if you guys are interested in any of this stuff and getting it for yourself for your own toolbox, I try and do a good job when I do spend money on my tools. So I'll link everything in the description below. If you do happen to purchase something, click on any of the links down there. I do get a small kickback. It doesn't charge you anything extra, but it just helps support me in making this a more avid thing that I do and getting away from the 9 to 5. So yeah, thank you. If you click a link and you buy something, it supports me. Just a bunch of random stuff on here that I needed, and then this swivel for 1/2 inch. This came in that ABN socket set that I showed you earlier over there on the left side. Again, completely worth the price I paid, about $95-100 for that entire 1/2 inch impact socket set, so that was great. This is a 1/2 inch to 3/8 reducer. This is CRV, unfortunately, but it did the job for a while. I was pretty much just using this before I got the 1/2 inch set to torque down bolts, especially like for my lug nuts and whatnot, because my 4Runner had 21mm lugs and my 3/8 set only went up to 19. Eventually I invested in a full 1/2 inch set, so that's been useful as well. And then over here we have some 1/4 inch extensions. These are by Gear Wrench as well, I believe. I wouldn't say I use them that often because my 3/8 is the most used ratchets and whatnot that I have, but super useful. This is actually really cool. If you do suspension component stuff or whatever, it's just like a miniature grease gun and it works really great. You just take grease out, plop it in there, seal it up. Better than having to reach into a tube or anything like that. I'm a huge fan of this. This thing was great. Over here we have more Gray Pneumatic stuff. These are Gray Pneumatic extensions. 1 3/4 inch, a 3 inch, a 6 inch, and a 12 inch. These have all been really good to me. Enjoyed using these a lot. So this right here is my junk drawer. Everyone probably has one of these. I'm not going to pull everything out of here for obvious reasons, but we'll kind of go after what we can see in here. I'll mention what I like. Gear oil pump, absolute necessity if you have to buy bigger than a standard quart. These are super helpful. Even if you have a quart size, these are really great. I'm a huge fan of these things. They help keep the mess down to a minimum. Kept the original bag too, so I was able to throw everything back in there and keep things from leaking all over the place. This is also where I keep my extra oil filters. I actually have to do a 4Runner oil change here in the next few days before I head out on my road trip, so I like to buy them a few at a time so I can do my oil changes without having to stop at the store every single time. Earlier I mentioned I love shop towels or shop rags. I keep an entire stockpile down here, so anytime I'm doing an oil change or anything like that, I always wrap one around my wrist and have fun. Mechanics gloves, do they work? Yeah, but I feel like they get in the way, and your fingers and hands and everything are going to get way more dirty than you expect. It doesn't matter if you have these on, you're going to have to take them off at some point, and then before you know it, your hands are absolutely filthy. Most of the time I don't wear them. If a friend is helping me or something and they don't want to get their hands dirty, I'll give them these. One thing I like to keep on hand with vehicles as old as mine, 18 to 20 years old, this stuff helps get all the old, nasty, dirty residue. You'll let this sit on for a while and then power wash it off. Just don't spray into anything electric. My tool charger for my M12 and M18 batteries. Thank you, Milwaukee, for putting it in one setup and not making me have to have two separate chargers. This is great. I love this thing. Brake lines, protective goggles. You only get one pair of eyes, guys. This was like $6 or $5 from Harbor Freight, so invest in a set of these if you can. Small parts and whatnot, gaskets, etc. More towels. I have an extra starter in here for my 4Runner. Another thing I can't live enough without, red brake cleaner. If you are from California, you may not know what this stuff is. Your local auto parts store may only carry the green one. My cousin turned me onto this stuff when I first started learning on how to actually work on cars. Yeah, sure, it stinks like hell, but it's super good at cleaning your brake parts off, or just, you know, getting a light degreasing of things. Okay, we'll move to a drawer up. Start on the left side. Over here we have dead blow hammer, mini sledge, and a ball peen. Both the ball peen and the dead blow are from Harbor Freight. I use the mini sledge quite often. You know, it's got some good feel to it. This Pittsburgh dead blow has a lifetime warranty. So if you watch the SPC upper control arm video, you'll see that I use this to set the receiver piece for the upper ball joint. This is just a standard little digital caliper from Harbor Freight. Not the best quality. I wouldn't recommend these if you're doing jobs for other people. I would not recommend this for doing any heavy work. But then again, if you're doing heavy work and you're a master mechanic, you're probably not watching this video. So, cotter pin assortment. I've had to pull my ball joints or tie rods off multiple times. The old cotter pins, you're supposed to not reuse them. Some people do. Sometimes you cut them off in pure anger. I'm not saying I do, but you know. So I bought a set, so in the future I don't have to worry about having to go to the dealership to buy some. Right here, I'm actually really excited about this tool, even though I've never used it. This is my Dremel soldering iron, and it comes with this entire kit here. It's a good little kit. It doesn't come pre-filled for obvious reasons, but it's a great little kit. I have yet to use it, but I'll let you know how it is in the future with a review on that. Let's move up to the next drawer. I have a set of snap ring pliers in here. This is from Work Pro, I believe. Good little set. I've only used it once or twice, but it can never hurt to have those. Better to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it. Little Tack Life tack gun here. One thing I recommend you should all have if you're starting to build your own little toolbox or whatnot are brushes. This was a kit. This is for like things that you don't really have to worry about scraping up or whatever, because this will gouge metal, steel on steel. If you're going to scrape metal but you don't want to gouge it, brass bristle brushes, that's where you want to be. These are great. I've used these on plenty of applications. Really awesome to have. This is a oil filter wrench. Super good buy. I think I got this for like $8 to $10 at Walmart. I've used this on the 4Runner and it works really good. Hose clamps, these are plastic. Super beneficial. You'll open it up, you'll clamp it down, and then once it stops, this piece will roll down on the bottom and keep it from opening up anymore. Like these a lot. This came as a set off of Amazon for maybe $15. Vacuum plugs. I have the rubberized versions as well as vinyl. Either one works, whatever you're a fan of. The vinyl ones or the rubber ones, they both work very good. Just make sure you get a good seal on whatever it is, otherwise it'll still drip. One thing I do like to use when needed, this is a mirror with a fully rotating face. It even has a light on it. A lot more beneficial than when using just a standard mirror. Porter cable heat gun. This has saved my butt a few times. Brake tool. Another $5-10 part that is worth having. Make sure you grease it up. You can see all my residual grease on there. And onto the next order. These are my Tecton ratcheting wrenches. I went with the 6-sided on here. As you can tell, they're not 12-sided. I feel like 6-sideds just get a way better grip. This is a set that goes from 8mm all the way up to 19. These are great. Haven't had any issues. These have saved my butt a numerous amount of times, so I love those a lot. This is another set of wrenches. These are just regular metric wrenches. These are Steelman Pros. The reason I have these is because these were the only ones that were 6-sided. I did buy the Tecton 12-sided ones initially and did not like how they gripped. Just the 12-sided, again, to me just doesn't grip well enough, and it was starting to strip, so I sent them back on Amazon like a day or two after they came in. This set goes all the way up to 22. Starts at a 7, so 7 to 22 set. And then we move on over here to flare nuts. Flare nut wrenches are really good for doing brake lines or any type of hard lines, such as your power steering line. These are super useful. These are Craftsman. I got them at Lowe's, I believe, for 35 bucks or so. Really great. Here we have another gear wrench set of picks, all different assortments and variations, from U-hooks to straight picks, another smaller straight pick, L-hook. I'm sure I'm not even pronouncing those right. I'm sure they have specific names, but again, just a hobbyist mechanic, folks. Erwin Extractor Set. Never actually had to use this. I hope to God I never have to. Terminal cleaner. This is just good to have if your terminal gets corroded and whatnot. You want to clean it up. This is great. In here we have a set of Pittsburgh chisels and punches. Good for what they are. I don't use them all the time. I've heard that these aren't as good as the Snap-on set. You get what you pay for. I think those are only 15 bucks. So again, I don't use them all the time. And then some Allen wrench keys here that I picked up at Harbor Freight as well. On to the next drawer. Ooh, this is a little messy. Looks like this got banged around a bit. So this is a Martison. Let's start here on the bottom left. A Martison Torx screwdriver set. I think this was 30 bucks or 40 bucks. I could have bought a single screwdriver for $10 or the entire set for about 30 or 40. I obviously opted for the entire set. When you want to pull the steering wheel off a 4Runner, you need a T30 Torx. I plan on going to the junkyard more when I come back and trying to find some goodies. And if you can pull a good steering wheel off, which I plan to swap mine out, you can turn around and sell them for 100, 150 bucks. So drum brake tools, Tecton screwdriver set, both Phillips and flathead. Really good set. I'm very happy with these. Got this trim removal toolkit. This came with about 4 or 5 tools in here. Believe it or not, I've used this a lot more than I thought I would. I think this was maybe 12 or 13 bucks on Amazon. The Salto brand. I'm assuming it's probably just some Chinese brand, but the plastic on these is actually pretty durable. Actually, sure, I could probably step on this without breaking it, this biggest piece, but I mean, they're pretty thick. Fit in, slide it up, etc. They work well. This is actually metal. This end piece right here is metal, so I've used this to pry off pieces inside wheel wells and whatnot. So this works really well. Very happy with this $12 or $13 purchase. We have here a Harbor Freight file set. Again, you get what you pay for. I am happy with these for what they are. They helped me fix that GP socket back there that I was telling you guys about. No problems, and I will make use of them until I realize that I need a better set. But for now, that's perfect. Actually really enjoy and like this tool. If you do brakes on JDM cars, specifically Hondas, I don't think Toyota has them. There's a specific head that you need. It comes, this Craftsman impact screwdriver, not to be confused with an impact driver, is meant to get the bolt out of a rotor, and you essentially put it on there and you hit it on the end with a hammer back here, and it does, when an impact driver does it, he shocks it and turns, shocks and turns. So hits and turns, hits and turns, hits and turns. And eventually it'll get that screw out, because rotor screws tend to get lodged in there. So if you don't put some of this anti-seize lube on there, you will have that issue. This helps get over that problem. So my cousin showed me this, and one of the best purchases I've ever had. Look, fingers dirty. Then we go back here. I forgot what brand these organizers are, but they are a really, really good upgrade to any drawer system. There are all kinds that you can buy. I just wanted something that was high vis and kind of stuck out when I bought this second one. The red one actually looks almost OEM. It's hard to tell the difference back here between where the organizer starts and where the drawer starts. I can lift that up and pull it out of the way. From here I have a set of Proto Circlip pliers. These were kind of expensive. I think like 25 or 30 bucks for these alone. And it's obviously cheaper than Snap-on, but these do a really good job. Rather than closing when you squeeze, they open. This helps get circlips around like axles and stuff like that, and you get them up and over. So these are really, really nice. Great $25 spent helping with my some of my jobs. Then some standard ion tool 90-degree pliers, some Harbor Freight Pittsburgh crimpers and wire strippers. Not a fan of these. Spend more money, get a better set. I can't tell you which brand to buy, but I guarantee you there's a way better brand out there. These suck. I actually will probably throw these in the trash when I buy myself a better set. Standard needle nose pliers. I think my brother actually found these in a parking lot and put them in my car when he was borrowing my car one day. Another set of needle nose pliers, smaller set. Set of Pittsburgh Harbor Freight pliers. This set was maybe 15-20 bucks for the whole thing. Not too bad. They work. Not the best quality in the world, but they do their job. I have used them already a few times. Same with an extra long set of pliers. I have these. These are Bremen. These might be from Amazon. I can't 100% say if they are or aren't. Not really happy with them. These are Seda. Yeah, not really happy with these. I should have gone. I didn't know anything about like name brand as far as these go, other than like Snap-on. I know that there's another brand you can buy that a lot of people go with. Don't christen me for that. Not a fan of them, but they work for what they are. But you can just tell they don't feel as good of quality as they should. But I will eventually get better quality ones and maybe give these to a friend or a family member or something. Okay, now on to my favorite drawer in the entire toolbox. I'm going to mount the camera so I can be hands-free for this one. All right, let's start over here with stuff in the far left. I have here a Martison impact bolt and nut remover set. These are graded pretty well by a YouTube channel called Project Farm. I think these scored top 2 or 3 behind the rocket sockets. These could be super beneficial if you have a stripped lug nut, the head of a bolt or whatever. You essentially take one of these, you hammer it on, and then you plug your 3/8 in the back of it, and then you just wrench it off, and it should dig into the metal the more you turn it. These are Nyko tools. This is a metric impact set from T10 all the way to T60. I've used this plenty of times for little screws and stuff on Hondas. Surprisingly, the Honda has a few of these that we have to utilize, like T25s, I believe, T27s and T30s, certain areas. Don't ask me why they did that. Watched the video on how to do something beforehand, saw that it was needed, so I bought the whole set for maybe 30 or 40 bucks. It's been useful. Over here we have a 1/2 inch, I think it's 15-inch breaker bar. This actually came with the toolbox for free because apparently it slipped where one of the holes are on the side that holds your pry bars, and I ended up getting this out of the bottom, so this came to me for free. And then I have this set of Craftsman breaker bars, 6-inch, 7-inch Craftsman, 10-inch 3/8, another 18-inch 1/2 inch breaker bar. I used this for a while. I'm not a big fan of it. I'll show you my big one over here in a second. Just not long enough. You could obviously throw a cheater on there. I have before in the past. Buy a bigger breaker bar. I wouldn't buy the Craftsman set. Not a humongous fan of them. They don't really do the job. And at the end of the day, what are you breaking with a 3/8 for anyways? Forget buying a set. Buy a impact gun, which we'll go over here in a minute, or get yourself a large 1/2 inch breaker bar. Here we have a 3/8 gear wrench, 92 short ratchet. Works good. You know, is what it is. It's not Snap-on, but it definitely feels of good build. It's a flex head as well. rotates a full 180 degrees for tight spaces. I've used this a few times, especially on the 4Runner when getting to some of the belt-driven items like the AC unit and all that stuff. This has proven to be very useful. You can buy a Snap-on one for double or triple the price. I kind of feel like I have what I want as far as ratchets go, so I haven't upgraded or anything like that. Got this maybe a couple months back and it's been super useful, so I'm happy with that. Next, we have my Craftsman with full swivel head. It's good. It is, I believe, a 72 tooth. Works well. No issues with it so far. Bit of a different selector switch, but no problems. Got it for, I think, maybe 30 bucks. With the amount of teeth it has and the arc angle, I'm happy with it. I use this when I don't want to use my other 3/8, which I'll go over in a second. This is my Tecton. This is a 72 tooth with a soft grip, almost identical in looks, a little bit longer. So if you need to break something off and you don't want to use a 15-inch breaker bar, you want to be able to get that arc angle. You're not supposed to obviously break things off with ratchets, but hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. I use this with my 1/2-inch sockets. Works well. I don't like it as much. It's not as smooth feeling. It feels robust, but again, if you're in a tight spot, you're just starting off, it'll get the job done, at least until you can step up to something nicer or of better quality. We'll do one of my favorite ratchets. This is THNF72. That's the model number, model code on this. Soft grip, 1/4-inch ratchet, full 360-degree spin. Absolutely love this thing. Very expensive if you buy them brand new. Huge fan of certain Snap-on products. That does not mean that I will endorse them and everything that they have. We'll get to that in a minute when I talk about like electric impact stuff. Next, we move on to one of my pride and joys. Again, I may catch a lot of flack for buying Snap-on stuff. It is model number FHN F100. I think that means that this is a 100 tooth. I mean, it's crisp. The arc angle is ridiculous. There's just so many teeth in this thing. It has proven itself time and time again. I think brand new, they're like 150, 180, maybe 200. I paid about 100 plus shipping, so 100 or 120. But no, great thing. Kind of like the Craftsman here. A little bit longer in length and just overall just a great ratchet. I love this thing. Okay, let's move to... Hey, had to pause the video really quick because I just realized as I was editing that I do not have any footage of my next two tools that I wanted to show you. Earlier I mentioned I had a Craftsman set of breaker bars, but I also bought a Pittsburgh 25-inch breaker, and it is almost identical to Harbor Freight's Icon. I honestly don't know the difference. I haven't held them side by side, but by going online and looking at them, they look almost identical to me. You save $30 by buying the Pittsburgh version, and it is way better than the Craftsman ones that I had. You get way more leverage on it because it's 25 inches long, just over 2 feet. It's great. But what I really wanted to show you, and what I'm really upset that I didn't get any footage on because of apparently some sort of failure with recording, was my 1/2-inch drive tech angle flex head torque wrench from Snap-on with a value of 12.5 to 250 foot-pounds of torque. It's a digital reader, so it gives you lights that show as you torque down things all the way up until it hits green. It'll go red if you go over the torque value. They're very expensive. They're about $630 brand new before the Snap-on guy gets you with interest. So I highly recommend, if you can, find one used in good condition. Mine was practically brand new. I got it from a pawn shop. Someone left it there, never came back for it. I ended up getting mine for about $400. I've looked on Craigslist and OfferUp before, and you can definitely find them. So I highly recommend that if you're looking to add one to your box, but I in no way, shape, or form recommend you get one if you're a brand new hobbyist mechanic. They're extremely expensive. You could set your entire toolbox up with $630 worth of tools. So the reason I bought it was just because I pretty much have everything I need. So I splurged on this one, and I just didn't feel like my Craftsman torque wrench that I had beforehand was giving me proper torque values. There were things I was wrenching on, and I was just like, there's no way, this is too tight, and I'd have to back it off and kind of just do it by hand. So I bought this for that reason, especially with the 4Runners, the lower ball joints, etc., like things like that. You have to be very specific and make sure you don't over torque those, otherwise you'll shear your bolts off on that. I'm gonna get back to finishing the drawer here. If you haven't already, like and subscribe.
I have more Forerunner content coming out, as well as my road trip video. If you can tell, right now I'm in a hotel room. I am working my way across the country, currently in Denver, Colorado, as I aim to make it to Milwaukee by the end of the week to get ready to start my internship next week. I'm just trying to get this video out. Again, I'm very sorry I don't have the footage on two of my favorite recent tools that I picked up, but let's finish off with some of the cool electronic Milwaukee stuff. Okay, as we move over to the right side, we're pretty much finished after we're done here. I have my Milwaukee Fuel. Fuel, if you're unfamiliar, they have like their standard Milwaukee, and then they have the Fuel. The Fuel is supposed to be like their top of the line, fastest, makes the most power and all that stuff. This is a great tool to have if you don't like taking time to ratchet off everything yourself. Just a huge time saver overall. I have a standard legit M12 battery, and then also 2 Power Extra aftermarket batteries. Because this isn't something I use to break away anything, I am okay with using the aftermarket batteries. When it comes to my next tool here, which is my Milwaukee Fuel M18 brushless, this thing is just awesome. But one thing I've been told is when it comes to breakaway and all that stuff, make sure you use the good batteries. Right here I have 2 M18 XC 5.0 batteries. I've used this with the 2.0 batteries before in the kit that it came with. Not worth it. The 2.0s are just, they don't have enough power. You actually lose breakaway, nut busting torque when you only use the 2.0s. 5.0s are above, and you know, anything more than a 5.0 honestly is probably too much as far as just feel. It's just going to get in your way. 5.0 is more than enough to get that full 210 foot-pounds of nut busting torque. That being said, Milwaukee just came out with a brand new one of these, and I'm super jealous. The new set starts at 250 foot-pounds of nut busting torque, as well as 3 lights around the front. So I may end up selling this on OfferUp or Craigslist and end up getting the newer model. Overall, I love this thing. Pairs with all my 3/8 stuff, obviously. Great tool, just a huge fan of this thing. Milwaukee makes great stuff. Here I have a Milwaukee Dremel. You can start to see I have a little bit of an obsession with Milwaukee power tools. Here is something I'm actually not really a big fan of this. Little Amazon Basics torque wrench. Again, you get what you paid for. I wouldn't buy one of these. Don't waste the 20 or 30 bucks. I love to travel. I love adventure. I love recording those videos, and I want to take you along my journey from start to, well, whenever that decides to finish. But for now, we've been on a kind of automotive kick because I am currently getting ready to move to the Midwest for the summer. But before I make that drive, I have to get my new to me 2002 Toyota 4Runner up and running. For the most part, it's finished at this point, and I've done so by using what's inside this box. I've seen that some other people tend to do a walkthrough, and I myself like watching those videos. As someone who is a hobbyist mechanic at best and constantly has to call his cousin asking for help on what to do next if he gets stuck in a certain situation while working on his car, I've found that these videos are fun to watch and give me a good idea of maybe tools I should buy or should consider buying in the future. Again, this is just a walkthrough. It's not a suggestion as to what you should buy. I may have gone a little overboard. I may be way under what you purchased, especially if you're a master tech or you've been doing this for years. I've been building this box for just over a year and a half now. I got it about February of 2020 and have slowly added to it, from starting with sockets and some Craftsman ratchets to eventually picking up a snap-on ratchet here, snap-on ratchet there, impact. You know, didn't want to take a lot of time to ratchet something off. So I'm a huge fan of certain things when it comes to Snap-on, and not so much with others. But I think where I purchase Snap-on products, I bought them where they count, including this toolbox, which is a 40-inch toolbox. This is a 6-drawer toolbox with a hutch, and I am super happy with it. I hope you guys liked the video. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, follow me for the future, and hit the like button if you thought the video was useful. Keep up with videos, and do me a favor, if you haven't already, tag your photos, tag your videos, DM me on Instagram. I'll have my link in the description below. Let me know what your stoke is and make sure you're posting about it. Use the hashtag #SeekingTheStoke, and just let me know what you're out there doing, because seeking the stoke is for everybody. Again, for me, it's a movement. It's all about getting out there and doing what makes you happy. So for me, again, that's travel, that's working on my own car,
and that's just getting to see more of the world and meeting people like you guys. So if you like it, share it with a friend. If not, hey, move on to the next video. I appreciate you guys either way. Thank you so much. Love you. Take care.